Ethan Cole had always believed that life was ordinary. He lived in a quiet city on Earth, working as an engineer designing communication drones. His days were predictable. Wake up, go to work, return home, and spend the evenings tinkering with gadgets. That was until the Interstellar Alliance decided to involve humans in their cultural exchange program. The announcement had shocked the world. Humans were being invited to meet other species, not just as ambassadors, but as partners. The aliens would offer companions, partners meant to strengthen bonds and trust between civilizations. It was called the Alliance Spousal Program, and Ethan's name was selected. He had mixed feelings about it. He wasn't sure he wanted a companion at all, let alone one from another planet, yet curiosity gnawed at him. How different could they be? He asked himself. Little did he know, the answer would change his life forever. The day she arrived, Ethan was nervous. The room designated for the welcoming ceremony gleamed under the artificial lights. Metallic floors reflected the glow and alien symbols shimmered on the walls. A soft hum of energy pulsed through the air. And then she appeared, Lyra. She stepped through the portal with a grace that seemed almost unreal. Ethan blinked. Her hair shimmered silver blue, cascading down her shoulders, catching the light like flowing starlight. Her eyes glimmered like tiny galaxies, bright but calming, and her skin seemed to glow faintly as if illuminated from within. She was tall and delicate, yet she moved with a strength that was clear in every step. "Hello, Ethan," she said. Her voice was musical but soft, carrying a warmth that made him feel both awe and comfort. "I am Lyra," Ethan swallowed hard. Hi Lyra, welcome." Words felt small compared to her presence. Lyra inclined her head. Her lips curved slightly, almost a smile, and she extended a hand. When Ethan took it, he felt a strange warmth ripple through his body, a sensation that was difficult to describe. It wasn't electricity or heat, it was awareness. She stepped closer, lowering her voice to a whisper. "You're in danger." Ethan froze. He looked around, expecting someone to be nearby. But the room was empty except for the two of them. "Danger? What do you mean?" he asked, a hint of nervousness in his voice. Lyra's eyes softened, but the seriousness in her gaze remained. "I cannot explain everything now, but you must trust me. Be careful." Ethan nodded slowly. He didn't understand her words, but the urgency in her tone made him uneasy. Was this some kind of ritual or custom he didn't understand? Or was it truly a warning? He didn't know, but the feeling in his chest tightened, a warning he could not ignore. The ceremony continued. Aliens of different shapes and sizes observed them, some floating, some walking, all watching with curious eyes. Ethan noticed the Zephyrians, Lyra's species, moved differently than humans. Graceful, almost floating, their gestures slow yet precise. They communicated not only with words but with subtle movements, almost like a dance. After the ceremony, Ethan was escorted to a living suite prepared for him. The room was futuristic but comfortable. Walls shimmered faintly with soft light, and a large window overlooked the city. The skyline of Earth looked familiar, yet now it felt strange, as if seen through someone else's eyes. Lyra followed him, her steps silent on the smooth floor. She observed every detail, her eyes flicking to every corner, every object. Ethan couldn't stop noticing her attentiveness. "Are you always this aware of everything?" he asked. She smiled faintly. "It is a trait of my people. We perceive more than just sight and sound. There are threads of events, and we can sense when they twist unexpectedly." Ethan frowned. "Threads of events? Danger, chance, opportunity," she replied softly. "Humans, you have potential, but you are also vulnerable." Ethan laughed nervously, trying to brush it off. "Well, I guess I'll try to be careful then." Lyra's gaze lingered on him. She stepped closer, her voice dropping to that same soft whisper. "You must listen when I say danger. Not all threats are obvious." Ethan felt a shiver run down his spine. Her words were cryptic, but the sincerity in her tone left no room for doubt. She wasn't joking or teasing. She truly believed he was in danger. Over the next few days, life with Lyra became unusual. She was quiet most of the time, observing Ethan, following him without making him feel crowded. Sometimes she would whisper things that didn't make sense at first. "Not yet. Wait for the shadow," or "the wrong path hides beneath the floor." At first, Ethan laughed nervously, thinking it was part of her alien way of speaking. But slowly he began to notice small coincidences. A delivery drone malfunctioned near his apartment, nearly hitting him. Lyra's whisper stopped him in time. Step back. Not safe. A lab experiment malfunctioned, almost releasing a harmful gas. Again, her warning had saved him. Each incident made Ethan question his initial skepticism. Lyra's warnings were not random. She had knowledge or foresight that humans lacked. The thought unsettled him, yet also intrigued him. At night, Ethan tried to understand her. "How do you know these things?" he asked, staring at the ceiling. Lyra sat beside him, her fingers brushing his arm in a gesture that was both gentle and deliberate. "We Zephyrians perceive danger differently. We sense disruptions in events, vibrations of what could happen. It is not magic, it is observation, intuition, and understanding of the universe." Ethan nodded slowly, trying to grasp it. It sounded impossible, yet the proof was undeniable. She had saved him twice now. Despite the fear, Ethan felt something else, fascination. Lyra was not just an alien. She was a teacher, a guide, and in ways he didn't fully understand, a companion. He began to observe her as well. Her daily rituals were precise. She practiced slow, flowing movements each morning, as if connecting to something beyond the visible world. She rarely ate, only needing minimal sustenance, and her sleep was light but restorative. One evening, as they looked out at the city lights from the window, Ethan asked, "Lyra, do all Zephyrians feel this connection to danger?" She turned to him, eyes reflecting the city glow. "Yes, but connection alone is not enough. We must choose carefully whom we protect. You are worth the effort." Her words made Ethan's heart race. He wasn't sure if it was fear, gratitude, or something else entirely. He realized that Lyra's presence in his life was changing him, making him more aware, more cautious, and somehow braver. Yet amid the fascination and awe there remained unease. Her whispers were never casual. Each one was deliberate, urgent, and frightening. "You're in danger" was not just a phrase, it was a promise of unknown threats. Ethan had no idea who or what might want to harm him. One night he awoke to find Lyra sitting by his side, eyes glowing faintly in the dark. "Ethan, something approaches," she whispered. Her voice was calm but insistent. "What? Who?" he asked, panic rising. "Not yet. Wait, but you must be ready," she replied. Ethan wanted answers, but he realized there were none he could grasp yet. The world he knew, ordinary, safe, predictable, was gone. Now each day brought a mix of wonder, fear, and uncertainty. Still, one thought anchored him. He was not alone. Lyra was by his side, guiding him, warning him, protecting him. And somehow he knew that whatever lay ahead, he would face it with her. As he drifted back to sleep, her hand brushed against his, and he felt a quiet reassurance. For the first time, he accepted that humans were not powerless. With intelligence, courage, and unexpected allies, even the most dangerous situations could be faced. Tomorrow would bring new challenges, he knew. But tonight, he would rest and trust the whispering, silver-haired alien beside him. The danger was real, but so was hope, and that hope was Lyra. The morning sunlight filtered through the tall windows of Ethan's apartment, casting golden stripes across the floor. Ethan rubbed his eyes, still uneasy after last night's warning. Lyra was already awake, standing by the window, her silver-blue hair catching the sunlight like flowing metal. "You slept well?" Ethan asked, trying to sound casual, though tension tightened his chest. Lyra's eyes turned toward him, calm but alert. "Rested enough. The threads of danger shift when humans sleep. You are safer now, but vigilance must continue." Ethan frowned. "Threads of danger?" She tilted her head, her voice soft but firm. "Events are connected, Ethan. Actions, choices, chance, they create patterns. Some threads lead to safety, others into harm. I sensed some threads twisting against you." Ethan rubbed his forehead. He wanted to believe she was exaggerating, that her warnings were part of alien culture, but he could not ignore the small accidents from before, the delivery drone, the lab gas leak. Lyra's words had saved him both times. "All right," he said slowly. "I'll stay alert." Lyra nodded. She leaned closer and whispered, "Trust your instincts as well. Humans perceive differently, but sometimes that difference is enough to change fate." Ethan felt a mixture of confusion and awe. Her words hinted at something bigger than he could imagine. Danger was real, but so was the strange partnership forming between them, one built on trust, instincts, and the unusual bond they now shared. That day, Ethan tried to focus on work, but subtle signs kept pulling his attention. A small drone hovered near his building, seemingly malfunctioning. Its sensors flickered strangely, as if scanning not just the area but him. Ethan froze, recalling Lyra's whispered warnings. He ducked into a shadowed doorway just as the drone's path shifted, narrowly missing him. Lyra appeared beside him silently. It watches. Not all machines are neutral. Some are instruments, Ethan's heart pounded. Instruments of who? That is yet to be seen. But it is why I whispered caution. Ethan realized that life with Lyra was no longer predictable. Every movement, every choice required awareness. Her presence was both reassuring and unnerving. She was delicate yet incredibly perceptive, guiding him through dangers he could not even sense. Over the next few days, Ethan began observing patterns. Messages on his computer would disappear or change. Data in his work files would sometimes be altered subtly, in ways that seemed meaningless until he noticed a link to the drone incident. His co-workers acted normally, unaware of the quiet danger surrounding him. Yet the threads Lyra spoke of were there, twisting invisibly through his life. One evening, Ethan asked her, "Lyra, how do you know so much? How do you see what humans cannot?" Lyra paused, her eyes reflecting the city lights. "It is perception beyond sight and sound. My people connect to the flow of events, sensing when paths diverge, when danger approaches. But perception alone is not enough. We must act on what we sense." Ethan nodded slowly. Her abilities were extraordinary, yet he saw the truth in her actions. She had saved him multiple times, often in ways he couldn't even explain. Still, he had to learn to trust her entirely, even when he didn't fully understand her methods. A few days later, an unusual incident occurred. Ethan was walking home when he noticed a small package lying near his doorway. He bent down to inspect it, but Lyra's hand gently stopped him. "Do not touch it," she whispered. "It carries threads of harm." Ethan froze. He wanted to question her, but the warning in her eyes made him hesitate. Carefully, he moved back and let Lyra approach. She examined the package briefly, then touched it. It emitted a faint pulse of energy, something Ethan could neither see nor hear, but he felt a sudden unease in his chest. "This is meant to track you," Lyra said quietly. "Perhaps more. The sender is unknown. I will destroy it." Before Ethan could respond, the package dissolved in a shimmer of silver light, leaving no trace behind. His jaw dropped. "How?" Lyra's gaze met his. "Not everything can be explained with human words, but trust that you are safer now." That night, Ethan lay awake, thoughts racing. He realized that danger was closer than he had ever imagined. Someone or something was monitoring him. He didn't know why or what the ultimate goal was, but Lyra's warnings were never wrong. The next morning, he decided to investigate. He started with his computer systems, looking for unusual signals or messages. Hours of analysis revealed subtle encrypted data that had been quietly transmitted to unknown locations. He recognized a pattern. Someone was trying to access sensitive information he had worked on for the Alliance projects. Lyra appeared beside him silently, watching as he worked. "Do you understand what this means?" she asked. "I think so," Ethan said. "Someone doesn't want humans to succeed. They could be trying to sabotage our position in the Alliance. But why me?" Lyra's expression was somber. "You are a thread in a larger weave. Protecting you may prevent harm to many. That is why I warned you." Ethan felt a shiver. His life had become entangled in something far beyond Earth, beyond anything he could imagine. Yet he also felt a strange sense of purpose. The ordinary life he had once known was gone. Now he had to be alert, careful, and strategic, and he had Lyra to guide him. Over the next few days, he and Lyra began testing their teamwork. Ethan would make careful decisions using human reasoning and ingenuity, while Lyra guided him with whispers and subtle cues. Sometimes she would pause him mid-step, whispering, "Wrong turn, danger ahead." Other times she would advise, "Go left, thread safer." Ethan noticed that her guidance was never rigid. She did not tell him what to do, only how to avoid danger. He began to understand her philosophy. Humans could act in unpredictable ways, and that unpredictability was often their strength. Lyra's role was to guide, not control. The partnership started to build trust. Ethan admired her wisdom, patience, and abilities. He also began to notice smaller details, how her laughter was soft and musical, how she studied the world with quiet curiosity, how her presence made him feel both protected and inspired. Yet, amid the growing bond, the threat loomed larger. One evening, while Ethan worked late in his lab, A shadow flickered across the room. It was fast, almost invisible. Ethan froze and Lyra appeared immediately beside him. "Move," she whispered sharply. A small device activated near his workstation, releasing a thin beam of energy toward him. Without Lyra's warning, it would have hit him squarely, but with her guidance, he ducked just in time. What is that?" he asked, heart racing. "An attack," Lyra said calmly, though her eyes glimmered with concern. "They are testing, trying to gauge your response. We must act cautiously." The threads twist faster now. Ethan realized that he could not treat these events as isolated incidents. Someone was orchestrating a pattern, a plan that involved him. He also realized that survival required trust, not just in his own skills, but in Lyra's insight and experience. That night, after the attack, Ethan sat quietly with Lyra in their living suite. "I never thought life could be like this," he admitted. "All this danger, it's overwhelming." Lyra placed a hand on his shoulder, gentle but firm. "Danger exists for everyone, Ethan. Some can see it. Others cannot. You have potential to act wisely, to survive, to protect. That is why I am here. That is why I whisper." Ethan nodded slowly. Her words were strange yet comforting. They reminded him that humans were not powerless. With courage, intelligence, and the guidance of unexpected allies, even the most hidden threats could be confronted. The night passed, and Ethan slept lightly, aware of every sound. Lyra remained near him, her presence quiet but unwavering. Her silver-blue hair glimmered in the faint moonlight, and her soft whisper reached him even in dreams. "Threads shift. Be ready. Danger approaches." By morning, Ethan felt a strange mix of fear and determination. The ordinary world he had known was gone. Now each day required alertness, strategy, and trust. And for the first time he understood that his life was part of something larger, something intertwined with beings far beyond Earth. As he prepared for the day, he glanced at Lyra. She smiled faintly as if reading his thoughts. "We face the threads together," she whispered. Ethan felt a surge of resolve. Whatever challenges lay ahead, he would not face them alone. He had an alien companion, a guide, and perhaps more than that. A friend who truly understood the invisible dangers surrounding him. And so began a new chapter in Ethan's life, one filled with caution, wonder, and the first steps of a partnership that would test the limits of human courage and alien wisdom. Danger was real, but so was hope. And for Ethan, hope came with silver-blue hair and whispered warnings that could save his life. The city's skyline shimmered under the early morning sun, but Ethan felt no comfort in the view. He had begun to notice patterns, unseen signals, subtle manipulations, and the ever-present feeling that he was being watched. Each time Lyra whispered warnings, his heart raced, and now it felt as though the threads of danger were tightening around him like invisible cords. "You can feel it too, right?" Ethan asked, glancing at Lyra as they walked through the busy streets. Lyra's silver-blue hair glimmered in the sunlight, and her eyes scanned the surroundings like a living radar. "Yes, threads twist faster now. Someone is following, testing, watching. They are close," Ethan swallowed hard. "Close how?" "They observe from a distance, hidden, using instruments and tricks humans cannot always see. But I sense their intent. It is not friendly." He glanced around nervously. People bustled past, oblivious to the tension surrounding him. Cars honked, holographic billboards glimmered, and drones floated above, some scanning, some delivering packages. Any one of them could be part of the hidden network. He had learned to trust Lyra's instincts, but fear still gripped him. Later that day, Ethan returned to his lab, hoping to analyze the encrypted signals he had discovered. Lyra followed silently, hovering just behind him. She never touched the machines, but her presence seemed to sharpen his focus. "Something is interfering with your systems," she whispered. "They try to track, manipulate, and confuse. You must be careful. Do not trust every connection." Ethan nodded, already noticing glitches in his communications network. Files he had just edited seemed to change themselves. Messages scrambled, and strange codes appeared in his logs. Whoever was behind this was skilled, patient, and dangerous. Hours later, while analyzing the data, Ethan discovered a pattern, a trail of encrypted messages leading to unknown alliance nodes. Each message contained subtle commands, hidden manipulations, and instructions that could influence human projects. Someone within the alliance was attempting sabotage, and the implications were terrifying. They planned to frame humans, Ethan whispered to Lyra, his voice tense. I think they want to make it look like we are incompetent, maybe even dangerous. Lyra's gaze hardened. Yes, that is why the threads twist more violently. Their goal is not just to harm you. They aim to destabilize trust between humans and other species. Ethan shivered. The danger was no longer abstract. It was real, immediate, and personal. He was at the center of a web, and Lyra's whispers were the only guide he could trust. That evening, they returned to their apartment. Ethan paced nervously while Lyra observed him quietly. We must act before they strike, she said. But first you must understand your strength. Humans are unpredictable. You may not see the threads as I do, but your choices can shift them in ways even I cannot. Ethan stopped pacing. You mean, my decisions can actually change the outcome? Lyra nodded. Exactly. Your mind, your instincts, your creativity, they are tools. Used wisely, they can counter forces stronger than either of us. He felt a mixture of pride and fear. He had never imagined that human ingenuity could play such a crucial role on an interstellar stage, and yet facing a hidden enemy required him to rise to the challenge. The next day, their fears became reality. Ethan was walking to the lab when a flash of movement caught his eye. A drone, smaller and sleeker than the delivery drones he was used to, hovered just above the street. Its sensors focused on him, scanning every step. Lyra's hand touched his arm, firm and urgent. Step back now! Ethan froze for a moment, then obeyed. The drone swooped down, sending a high-energy pulse toward his path. It struck the sidewalk where he had been walking seconds before, leaving a scorched mark. What the? Ethan exclaimed, heart racing. They test, Lyra said calmly, though her eyes narrowed. They want to see your reactions, your choices, your adaptability. Ethan felt a surge of determination. He realized that the hidden enemy underestimated him, underestimated humans, and that mistake could be the key to surviving. Over the next few hours, Ethan and Lyra worked together, studying the attack patterns. Lyra could sense the intentions behind each action, whispering warnings just in time. Left. Thread safer. Pause. Danger approaches. Move now. Ethan marveled at how their teamwork worked. His human creativity, combined with Lyra's foresight, created a synergy neither could achieve alone. He improvised solutions, manipulated devices, and anticipated moves in ways even Lyra hadn't predicted. But their investigation revealed something more alarming. The attacks were not random. They came from a faction within the Alliance itself. Humans were being targeted because of their growing influence, and this faction wanted to disrupt the peace before it could strengthen. They are powerful, patient, and cunning, Lyra said quietly as they analyzed their findings. They use humans' own systems against them, hide in plain sight, and exploit trust. But their arrogance is their weakness. They do not expect unpredictability. Ethan clenched his fists. Then we'll be unpredictable. Lyra's eyes softened, a hint of admiration in her gaze. Yes, together we can counter them, but you must remain alert. Threads twist faster now, and one wrong move could cost everything. Days passed, and the attacks became bolder. Ethan narrowly avoided an energy trap in his lab, guided only by Lyra's whispered directions. A sabotage attempt on a communications satellite failed because of his quick improvisation. Combined with her foresight, each incident strengthened their bond. He trusted her implicitly now, and she trusted him to act in ways only a human could. Amid the tension, a quiet companionship grew. They shared meals, studied patterns together, and began to learn small details about one another. Ethan admired her intelligence, patience, and grace. Lyra observed his courage, quick thinking, and ability to adapt under pressure. Though different in every way, they complemented each other perfectly. One evening, as the city lights shimmered outside, Ethan asked, Lyra, why me? Why protect me so fiercely? Lyra's gaze softened. You are not just a human, Ethan. You are a choice, a potential, a thread that can influence many others. Protecting you is not personal alone. It may prevent harm to countless others. And I sense your willingness to act, to think, to survive. That is rare among humans. Ethan felt a strange warmth in his chest. Her words were more than praise. They were recognition, respect, and perhaps care. The following night brought the highest danger yet. Ethan and Lyra were walking back from the lab when the city streets fell into an eerie silence. A shadow moved across the rooftops, and Ethan felt an instinctive chill. Now, Lyra whispered, her voice urgent. Follow my lead.
Watch every movement.
Trust your instincts. A sleek stealth drone appeared from above, its sensors locking on them instantly. Ethan's heart pounded. He reacted without thinking, diving behind a street kiosk while Lyra guided him through each step. The drone fired a net of energy beams, but their timing, coordination, and quick decisions allowed them to evade it. After moments that felt like hours, the drone vanished into the darkness, leaving Ethan gasping for breath. Lyra placed a hand on his shoulder. They test, but you adapt. That is human strength. Ethan nodded, still trembling. The danger was real, and yet he realized something profound. Humans had gifts of intuition, creativity, and courage, tools that even advanced alien enemies could not fully predict. Over the next days, Ethan and Lyra worked tirelessly. They traced the attacks, gathered data, and began piecing together the hidden faction's plan. The threads were twisting faster than ever, but together they could anticipate the enemy's moves. Lyra whispered often now, guiding, teaching, and protecting. Danger approaches, but you are ready, she said one night. Do not fear. Fear clouds choice. Trust perception and instinct. That is the way to survive. Ethan realized she was right. The fear was always there, but it could be managed. He had to trust himself and Lyra, use human creativity and Zephyrian foresight together. For the first time, he felt a deep certainty. Humans were not powerless. They were not inferior. With courage, intelligence, and the guidance of extraordinary allies, they could face even the most hidden and dangerous enemies. The city lights glittered as Ethan and Lyra stood side by side, watching the streets below. Whatever comes, Ethan said quietly, we face it together. Lyra smiled faintly, her eyes glowing softly. Yes, together. The threads may twist, the danger may approach, but we move as one. That is the human advantage and the Zephyrian gift. And for the first time, Ethan truly believed it. The enemy was hidden, the danger real. But hope and partnership was stronger. The threads of fate had tightened, but humans and Zephyrians together were ready to face whatever lay ahead. The sun dipped low over the city, casting long shadows across streets and skyscrapers. Ethan's apartment, usually a place of temporary safety, now felt like a launching point. The hidden faction within the Alliance had grown bolder. Their attacks were no longer subtle. They tested him directly, attempting to sabotage his work and track every move. It was clear that if he wanted to survive, he had to act first. We cannot wait, Ethan said, pacing in the apartment's central chamber. They'll strike again. We need to find them before they hit us, or worse, the summit. Lyra stood silently, her silver-blue hair shimmering in the dim light. I have traced threads that lead to their hidden operations, but it will not be easy. Their base is protected by multiple layers, machines, illusions, traps. Many would fail before reaching the core. Ethan's jaw tightened. Then we succeed where others would fail. Lyra inclined her head. Yes, but you must listen closely. Each step must be deliberate. You act unpredictably, I guide. Together we can overcome. The plan was set, using a combination of Ethan's human ingenuity and Lyra's Zephyrian foresight. They prepared to infiltrate the faction's hidden base. Ethan rigged portable sensors and communication disruptors, improvising devices that could scramble enemy monitoring signals. Lyra, sensing the invisible threads of danger, provided directions no human could intuit on their own. The journey to the base took them beyond the city, through shadowed streets and abandoned industrial zones. Every corner held potential threats. Ethan's heart raced with anticipation and fear. The stakes were higher than ever. One mistake, one overlooked detail, and it could end in disaster. Here, Lyra whispered as they approached a heavily secured warehouse. Threads are unstable. Multiple monitoring devices are hidden. Do not trigger motion sensors. Move slowly, but remember, humans can think in ways machines cannot. Ethan nodded, carefully following her lead. Every step was deliberate, every choice calculated. A wrong move could set off alarms, revealing their presence. Yet with Lyra guiding him, he moved with confidence. He began to realize that human unpredictability, combined with her insight, gave them a unique advantage. Inside the warehouse, the atmosphere was tense. Shadows stretched across the floor, and mechanical hums echoed from hidden devices. Ethan could feel the weight of unseen eyes, the silent observation of forces waiting to strike. Lyra leaned close and whispered, "Observe. The threads of action are shifting. Some are traps, others decoys. Focus, trust your instincts." Ethan's pulse quickened. He carefully disabled a surveillance panel using a device of his own design. Lyra guided him, whispering about hidden energy pulses and pressure-sensitive tiles. Together, they navigated the maze-like interior, avoiding alarms and traps that would have caught any ordinary intruder. Deeper inside, they discovered evidence of the faction's plan. Holographic projections showed targets, humans involved in the Alliance projects. Charts and communications detailed attacks, sabotage operations, and manipulations intended to make humans appear incompetent. Ethan's heart sank. The enemy was organized, patient, and ruthless. "They aim to ignite distrust," Lyra whispered, her voice steady but urgent. "If they succeed, humans may be blamed for disasters not of their making. The Alliance could fracture." Ethan clenched his fists. "We won't let that happen. We'll expose them." Lyra nodded. "Yes, but first, the weapon." At the center of the warehouse, they found it. A sleek, advanced drone far beyond anything Ethan had seen. Its purpose was clear. A device capable of triggering massive destruction at the upcoming Alliance summit. It hovered silently, scanning the environment, waiting for activation. Ethan studied it, his mind racing. "We need to disable it." Now Lyra's eyes glimmered with urgency. "I will guide you. Follow my whispers precisely. One wrong step and the threads twist toward danger." The next hour was a tense dance. Ethan improvised ways to bypass energy barriers and avoid detection by the drone's sensors, while Lyra whispered precise instructions. "Step left. No, step back. Now reach for the panel. Pause. Good. Continue." Every movement required coordination, focus, and trust. Ethan's human creativity allowed him to see solutions the faction hadn't predicted. Lyra's guidance ensured that danger was avoided at every turn. Together, they moved like a single entity, balancing intuition and foresight. Suddenly, an alarm blared. Automated defenses activated, energy beams slicing through the air. Ethan ducked instinctively and Lyra guided him, whispering, "Thread unstable. Move, avoid the pattern!" He slid under a moving laser, grabbed a control panel, and managed to reroute power to the drone, disabling it before it could activate. Sparks flew, lights flickered, and the hum of machinery died down. For a brief moment, silence reigned. Ethan exhaled shakily. "Is it done?" Lyra's expression was serious. "The immediate threat is neutralized, but we must leave quickly. Others may notice." As they retraced their steps, shadows shifted around them. A group of faction operatives had detected the disturbance. Ethan's heart pounded, but he remained calm. He improvised diversions, smoke devices, jamming signals, and controlled energy pulses to mislead the enemy. Lyra whispered every danger point, every safe path. They moved with precision, teamwork, and trust. Humans' unpredictability and Zephyrian foresight proved a combination the faction had not anticipated. Even as the operatives pursued them, they evaded capture, exiting the warehouse undetected. Outside, Ethan took a deep breath. The night air felt alive, carrying the distant sounds of the city. He glanced at Lyra. "We did it," he said, a mix of relief and disbelief in his voice. Lyra's lips curved slightly, though her gaze remained sharp. "Yes, but this is only part of the challenge. The threads twist beyond this place. The summit is the final test." Ethan nodded, understanding the gravity of her words. The summit, where leaders from all worlds of the Alliance would gather, was the ultimate stage. If the faction succeeded there, humans could be blamed for disasters and interstellar peace could collapse. Yet amid the tension, Ethan felt a growing confidence. He had faced danger, relied on instincts, and worked seamlessly with Lyra. The partnership was stronger than ever, and the enemy underestimated them both. As they returned to the city, Ethan asked, "Lyra, will they come after us again?" She paused, looking toward the horizon. "Perhaps, but humans adapt." "You adapt. That is why the threads favor us now. We are ready." The night passed quietly, a brief reprieve before the final confrontation. Ethan and Lyra spent it reviewing plans, preparing for the summit, and studying every piece of information they had gathered about the faction. Every detail mattered. Every choice could mean the difference between success and failure. For the first time, Ethan fully appreciated the power of human ingenuity. Zephyrian foresight was extraordinary, But combined with human creativity, courage, and adaptability, it became unstoppable. Lyra had guided him, but he had also contributed, thinking of solutions no one else would have imagined. Together they were stronger than any enemy. As dawn broke, Ethan looked at Lyra, determination shining in his eyes. Whatever happens at the summit, we face it together. No matter what. Lyra smiled faintly, her voice soft but resolute. Yes, together. Threads may twist. Danger may approach, but we move as one. That is the way of survival and the way of victory. Ethan felt a surge of hope. The summit would be dangerous, the enemy cunning, but he knew they were ready. Humans were not powerless. With courage, creativity, and the guidance of extraordinary allies, they could face even the most insidious threats. The night gave way to morning, and Ethan felt a deep certainty. The counterstrike had succeeded. The faction's weapon was disabled, but the final challenge awaited. And for the first time, he felt fully prepared, fully alive, and fully connected with the silver-haired alien who had whispered warnings, guided him, and stood by his side through every peril. Together, they would face the summit, confront the hidden faction, and prove that humans were not just participants, they were a force to be reckoned with in the galaxy. The Alliance Summit Hall glimmered with alien light. Delegates from dozens of worlds gathered, each representing a civilization more advanced than anything Ethan had ever imagined. Holographic banners floated in the air, displaying messages of unity, technology, and shared progress. The weight of history pressed down on him. One wrong move could spark chaos across the galaxy. Lyra walked beside him, silent and graceful as ever. Ethan could feel her awareness extending beyond the visible. Her eyes flickered slightly, scanning the room, reading intentions and sensing threads of danger he could not perceive. "You feel it, don't you?" Ethan whispered. Lyra's gaze met his. "Yes, threads twist more sharply here. The faction is among us. They are disguised, hidden, but their intent is clear. They wish to sabotage, to blame humans, to fracture the alliance." Ethan swallowed. "How do we stop them without causing panic?" Lyra's lips curved faintly, almost a smile. "We act carefully, together. Timing is everything." They entered the hall, moving deliberately. Humans were given seats of honor near the center, a sign of growing respect from other species. Ethan felt pride, but also tension. Every glance, every whisper in the room could conceal a threat. Soon, subtle signs appeared. Small energy pulses in the hall, minor glitches in the communication systems. A delegate whispering hurriedly into a concealed device. Lyra's whispers guided him. "Observe. The threads of deception twist here. Notice patterns. Act swiftly but subtly." Ethan watched carefully, relying on both human intuition and her guidance. The faction had planted a device, hidden in the central stage equipment. It could create a catastrophic disruption, making humans appear responsible for a massive technological failure. He whispered to Lyra, "There it is. I see the device. What now?" Lyra leaned close, her voice almost inaudible. "Distract. Distract without suspicion. Then deactivate." Using his human ingenuity, Ethan improvised a distraction, a small holographic projection that drew attention from the staff checking the stage. As technicians focused on the anomaly, Ethan slipped toward the device. Lyra guided every movement, whispering precise instructions about the pressure tiles and energy beams. Seconds felt like minutes, but Ethan's hands moved with care and speed. He disabled the device, rerouted its power, and left it harmless. When he returned, Lyra nodded subtly. The immediate danger was over, but the faction was still active. Ethan realized that while their device failed, the individuals responsible were still in the hall, blending with delegates, watching, waiting for another opportunity. They needed evidence to expose them. Lyra's eyes narrowed. "We must reveal them, carefully, publicly, but in a way humans can understand and aliens will trust." Ethan scanned the room. He noticed the subtle movements of several delegates, glances that did not match words, small signals exchanged beneath the table. Using a combination of his knowledge of human systems and the Alliance networks, he intercepted encrypted messages being sent discreetly from concealed devices. He whispered to Lyra, "We can trace their signals and expose them, but it must be quick." Lyra's eyes glimmered. "Follow my guidance. Trust the threads." Working together, Ethan projected the intercepted messages onto the central holographic display. The hall froze as lines of coded instructions appeared, revealing the faction's plan to sabotage the summit. Gasps and murmurs spread across the room. Delegates whispered, checked devices, and realized the plot against humans. The faction operatives tried to flee, but security forces quickly apprehended them. Their disguises could not hide the evidence Ethan and Lyra had uncovered. The summit erupted in a mixture of relief and astonishment. Humans were cleared of blame, and their courage and ingenuity were recognized openly. Ethan felt a wave of relief, but he also looked at Lyra. She stood calmly, but he could sense the tension in her threads. The danger was over for now, but the lessons of vigilance and teamwork remained. A senior Alliance diplomat approached him. "Ethan Cole, your quick thinking and analysis have prevented a catastrophe. Humans are more capable than we realized. You have earned our respect." Ethan nodded, almost in disbelief. "Thank you, but I couldn't have done it without guidance." Lyra's presence beside him reinforced the truth of his words. Without her whispers, foresight, and insight, the plan might have failed. Humans had ingenuity, but combined with her abilities, they had been unstoppable. Later, as the summit continued in a calmer tone, Ethan and Lyra walked to a quiet observation balcony overlooking the city lights. The hall was bustling behind them, but here, silence allowed for reflection. "You were incredible today," Ethan said quietly. "I don't know if I could have done it alone." Lyra's silver blue eyes softened. "You acted with human strength. Creativity, courage, intuition, these are gifts. I guided, yes, but you chose each action. That is what saved us." Ethan realized something profound. Humans were not powerless. They were not inferior to advanced civilizations. Their ability to improvise, think creatively, and act unpredictably could shift outcomes in ways even the most advanced aliens could not anticipate. "You mean, humans really can make a difference?" he asked. Lyra inclined her head. "Yes, and today you proved it. But more than that, I see your heart, your care, your willingness to trust. These qualities matter as much as skill." Ethan felt warmth rising in his chest. Her words were not just praise, they were recognition, understanding, and trust. They had faced danger, relied on each other, and survived. Their bond was no longer just about guidance or survival, it was partnership. He reached out, taking her hand gently. "Lyra, I never thought I'd find someone I could trust like this. Someone who understands." Her fingers curled around his. "Trust is not given lightly, but we have earned it. Together we are stronger. Together we can face any danger." The city below twinkled with lights, and Ethan felt a sense of hope he had never known. Humanity was no longer a passive participant in the galaxy. They had courage, ingenuity, and allies who would stand beside them through threats and uncertainty. "Do you think the danger is truly over?" Ethan asked, looking out at the horizon. Lyra's gaze softened. "Danger will always exist. That is the nature of the universe. But humans can face it, adapt, and thrive. And with allies, you are never alone." Ethan nodded. The lessons of the past days had been harsh but invaluable. He had learned to trust instincts, adapt under pressure, and rely on both human creativity and Lyra's Zephyrian insight. And in doing so, he had discovered a bond stronger than any fear. "Then we continue," he said quietly, squeezing her hand. "Together," Lyra smiled faintly. "Together. Threads may twist, threats may rise, but we move as one. That is the human advantage and the Zephyrian gift." For the first time, Ethan felt a deep certainty. Humans were capable of greatness, and their choices, courage, and creativity mattered on a galactic scale. The hidden faction had been exposed, the summit secured, and humanity's reputation preserved. But the real victory was the bond he shared with Lyra, a partnership built on trust, understanding, and the courage to face the unknown together. As the summit concluded, delegates from all worlds acknowledged the bravery and ingenuity of humans. Ethan and Lyra stood side by side, their presence a symbol of cooperation between species. Later, as they returned to their apartment, Ethan looked at Lyra, his voice filled with quiet admiration. "I never imagined life could be like this. Danger, adventure, and yet I feel stronger with you by my side." Lyra's eyes glimmered, reflecting the city lights. "You have learned well, Ethan. Danger teaches, but trust and partnership empower. Together, humans and Zephyrians can achieve what neither could alone." Ethan smiled, a mixture of relief, pride, and warmth filling him. "Then let's keep moving forward. Whatever the galaxy throws at us, we face it together." Lyra nodded, her voice soft but steady. Yes, together, and remember, threads will always twist, but with courage, wisdom, and trust we will endure. Ethan felt the truth of her words resonate deeply. Humans were not weak, not powerless, not insignificant. They were resilient, creative, and courageous. And when combined with allies like Lyra, their potential became limitless. As they stood together, watching the stars appear in the night sky, Ethan knew one thing for certain. No matter what dangers the future held, they would face it side by side. And that bond, the trust, the courage, the shared strength, was more powerful than any threat in the galaxy. For Ethan, life had changed forever. Danger still whispered at the edges of every thread, but now he no longer faced it alone. He had an alien companion, a guide, and a partner who had shown him that humans were extraordinary, capable of surviving, thriving, and shaping the future of the galaxy. And with Lyra's whispered warnings, his human ingenuity, and their shared courage, there was nothing they could not face together.